Nicki Minaj and her husband are over and done with because she just announced their separation, but hold up, because things are not as simple as a plain separation. According to Nicki, Kenneth has allegedly been using her for her money this entire time, and when she stopped paying him, he allegedly flipped off on her and dumped her. And if you think that's messy, well, there is more where that came from, because insiders have now exposed Nicki's alleged addiction, claiming that she has allegedly been heavily using some controlled substances that have been making her erratic. Baby, this is one stinking mess, and it's not looking good for Nicki at all. As sad as it may seem, it's not exactly shocking that Nicki's husband, Kenneth, has been using her for her money and fame, because we kind of called it from the start when we found out that she was married. Fans were really happy for her when she announced her wedding, especially after we found out that they had been childhood sweethearts who'd have found their way back to each other after all those years. It was weird that she chose to get married in secret, but hey, love makes people do crazy things, right? But now looking back, it totally makes sense why Nicki kept her relationship with Kenneth. Loki, his past is kind of sketchy to say the least. Back in 1995, Kenneth got into some serious trouble when he was accused of and arrested for allegedly saying a girl using weapons to coerce her to have intercourse with him. He was sentenced to prison, and he served 7 years in prison for that. After he was released, he had to deal with supervised release until 2018. The state of New York wasn't playing around because they tagged him as a level 2 offender, which basically meant they weren't too optimistic about his future behavior and that there was a risk of him being a repeat offender. Under the terms of his release, he was required to register as an offender every time he crossed state lines to live in another state. But when he moved from New York to California to live with Nicki after their marriage, he didn't register, and that's when things started to go wrong for him. He was arrested on the spot, and he was held on a $20,000 bail. And given that his main job title seems to be Mr. Nicki Minaj, it's a safe bet that Nicki was the one digging deep into her pockets and paying off his bill. The drama blew up on social media, and Nicki got a lot of hate for this because fans felt the type of way over her willingly getting married to a predator. Fans started giving her the side eye over this, especially since her brother was also convicted for when Nicki's brother was on trial for a horrible crime involving his 12-year-old stepdaughter. Nicki wrote a letter to the judge basically pleading for mercy for her brother, even though the evidence was stacked against him. He still ended up in jail, which made Nicki look very bad. Then she was called the essay apologist, which kind of explains why she ended up with Kenneth. It also didn't help that Nicki kept defending Kenneth against the internet, saying things like he was young, she was young, and in a relationship. But go off the internet, you can't run my life, you can't even run your own life. The problem with him not registering in California finally came to a head in 2022, when he was given a $500,000 fine. You know who paid for that? Nicki. At this point, people began to wonder what Kenneth did for a living. He didn't work from 9 to 5, and he didn't work in entertainment, so it looked like he was taking advantage of Nicki and was happy to be Mr. Nicki Minaj. It got worse when the victim of his 1995 essay, Jennifer Ho, went on the internet to ask for help, saying that Nicki and Kenneth had been threatening her and sending people after her. She also said that Nicki had offered her a lot of money to change her story and say that she made it up and that Kenneth hadn't really done what she said. This made Nicki look even worse, and she was dragged for filth, with one person making a solid case against her. It doesn't matter how much you like Nicki's music, it's wrong to ignore what she did. She accused victims of lying and even threatened of paying them to keep quiet. You can still like her music, but you don't need a Harvard degree in morality and ethics to see that Nicki is wrong here. STS needs to take off their rose-colored glasses and hold their favorites accountable. Some fans also said that she has worked with artists that are well known in South Africa and even supported them. Nicki pleaded guilty to using a 13-year-old in a show in October 2015 when he was 19 years old and 69 years old. He was quickly supported by Nicki, who said, "I want him to perform with me at the VMAs. It's just how things are when I know someone. There's nothing you can tell me about him. That's how things are." Well, after her marriage to Kenneth, fans noticed how Nicki started to act erratically, like the time she swore that she was retiring from singing to focus on her man. Her tweet said, "I've decided to retire and spend time with my family. I know you guys are happy now." That was a shocker that came out of nowhere because Nicki was at the top of her game, and you don't just quit when you're the undisputed reading queen of rap. She later relented and deleted the tweet. She also made a new tweet where she said, "I'm still right here, still madly in love with you guys, and you know that in hindsight, this should have been a Queen radio talk, and it will be. I promise you guys will be happy." I apologize, babe, and in a later interview with Billboard, Nicki backtracked on her retirement plans by saying, I love music and interacting with fans, so I can't really see taking myself totally away, but I want to be open to other possibilities in my life. I do think it is important to become a woman outside of the magnifying glass. I have to make sure that I'm well-rounded as a human being. Even more bizarre, she accused her fans of hurting her feelings by being upset when she claimed that she was quitting. She said she didn't know my fans would act like that with the tweet. It hurt my feelings because I feel like the way I did it was maybe insensitive to my friends, but I didn't think people were going to take it. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a deal, so that's why I removed it over the years. Her behavior seemed to get more and more erratic, like how she went off on Megan Thee Stallion in January after Megan spoke on her husband's past. Nicki went on and on dragging Megan and just being very messy, and fans believe that it was kind of give nose candy. However, Nicki denied being on drugs and accused fans of trying to discredit her, saying, whenever you see the word can't, you know they mad. If you hear how loud I'm laughing, I've never done C in my life, but if I did, I do it proudly. But fans aren't convinced that she's totally clean, and it got worse a couple of days ago when she posted this video that got people concerned.
One day, they're yelling, push, and you're in pain. And then one day, he comes out, a beautiful baby boy. To God be the glory. Congratulations to every mama out there. You're doing a great job.
Blogger Ken Barty shared this tea in January when he said, you want to know that people judge your disgusting husband because they're not used to being loved. But you know who is used to being loved exactly like you? Wendy Williams said he loved her, pockets to the end, letting her do all types of substances so he could keep digging in that purse while you sit up there looking like that man is keeping you dread up and mixing your nose candy with horse tranquilizers and OIC so he can make you look more stupid while taking your money and letting you look crazy. Well, several insiders have kind of confirmed this, claiming that Kenneth has allegedly been keeping Nicki on substances so that he can get his hands on her money without being stopped. But that wasn't enough for him because he allegedly wanted full control of Nicki's money and finances. Luckily, she has a dedicated team who stood 10 toes behind her and prevented Kenneth from getting his grabby paws on her money now that he knows the jig is up, and he is reportedly cutting his losses. Word on the streets is that he has dumped her and moved on with his life. Nicki appeared to confirm this on Twitter when she said yes, single. According to reports, this sent Nicki into a spiral, and she has allegedly started using again, which explains the whole video she posted where she just seemed off. This is very wild, and fans wrote, getting dumped by the same offender you've been defending all these years, and he just landed you in multiple lawsuits is crazy. What goes around comes around. Truly, it's hard for me to feel bad for Nicki, cause girl, you made fun of everyone else getting online crying. Now look at you crying over Kenneth Petty, and Kenneth probably got Nicki hooked on drugs and filled her up to make her stay with him. I kind of feel bad for her. He probably made her feel like crap and look like crap and told her that he's the only person who could ever love her. It's sad. This situation is insane. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about it in the comments, and then check out this next video.